I'll just invite you to take a deep breath in, just to relax, and listen to the following words from Ernest Holmes. Today, I realize that I am one with the all good. My God and I are one. I cannot be hid from his face. I behold thee, O Most High, enthroned in my flesh, my temple of flesh. Thy secret place is within me. I feel thy presence. I hear thy voice. I rejoice in thy light. Today my body responds to the divine behest. Be perfect. And so I'll just invite you to contemplate the idea that you are always in the presence and you are one with God. I'm so glad for this day and filled with so much joy to be here present. What a gift. I'm so filled with gratitude to know that in every space and in every time that God is, and that we're always in the presence of the Almighty. And so I claim for this day, for each and every one of us, that we recognize the presence of the Almighty Father in us, as us, through us, moving, living, thinking, doing, and being. And I know that as I claim this recognition for each and every one of us, that there is also an abundance of good. And that as we have gathered today, I declare that this day is complete, because it is God doing all of it as us. I know I accept for Reverend Suzette that this day she speaks the word of God, and the word is truth, and that truth walks in us to do all good. So I know that the music of Sylvia and Victoria are also from that spirit of the divine, and it is a blessing to all of us. I bless this gathering. I bless the technology that brings us together. Even though we're apart, we're still the same. We're still one. I give great thanks for this knowing. I declare that everything we do is perfect, because it is all God and it is good. I speak my word into the law of truth, knowing that God does it all, and so it is.
So let's bring back Victoria, the dynamic duo.
That's right.
Of Victoria and Sylvia.
Love it.
That's right.
Thanks for having us, Reverend Suzette.
Thank you.
Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. You have all you need, it's all inside of you. Just close your eyes and breathe and know that you are safe. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, into the mystery. No need to make a plan, your heart will be your compass. Just lift your sails in faith and trust that you will arrive. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Float into the mystery. Mystery. Float, float, float.
Wow. I'm gonna, I hope this is a real compliment to you too, but you know who that sounded like to me? Anybody got a guess? Christina. Christina was here today. Good job. Okay. So if it's perfect. If you're here today, you're here on purpose. And what I'm going to talk about is called the hero's journey. How many people have heard of that? The hero's journey. I believe you've either experienced it, you're going through it, or you're going to go through it in the future. And so today's topic is really powerful because we talk about the hero's journey, but we really don't, I don't think, at least I didn't really put all this together until I wrote this talk, how valuable to understand the hero's journey and what it takes for us to come home to ourselves inside. So today's a little bit about learning. You have on your chair, this right here. So you're gonna maybe want to have one of those because we're going to go through that. And if you need a pen, raise your hand. We'll get you a pen. This is a great time to take notes. I really think it's good. But let me start first with some. Can you please forward it? With 3 quotes. We need a pen up here too, please. 2 pens? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. So here are 3 quotes that kind of center why this is important. One, and then Bob needs one. He's coming. Okay, there we go. Great. Within yourself is a stillness. Think about this as I say it. Within yourself is a stillness, a sanctuary to which you can retreat at any time and be yourself. In other words, you don't have to do anything to go anywhere to become you. You can just sit. I know many times I get really revved up during the day, and I'll just walk out to my backyard, sit in one of my chairs, and close my eyes. And that simple act is enough to bring it into you, to bring you back to you. Second quote is, when the vast cathedral of your being becomes a sanctuary for all creations, we become the face of God. In other words, when we are really in that place, people want to hang out with us. They want to be with us. They feel who we are. This is all, whatever I say for me is true for everyone here. These are the powerful things we have to give. And the last one is, deep within us all, there is an amazing sanctuary of the soul, a divine center to which we may always return. It is a light within which illuminates the face of God. So that's the gift that we give each other. It illuminates within us. So the hero's journey is about coming back to ourselves and to realize that we have the power and the presence of Spirit, God, whatever word you want to personally call it, within us. That we don't have to go outside and get it. It's already there. But it's about us realizing that. And the title of the talk is Dream Home. It's to come back to home. Back to that home which already is centered within us. Because we were born perfect, whole, and complete when we came out of the womb. There was nothing that changed us, decided us at that moment. That's who we were. We need to claim that, and coming home means to claim that again. No matter what the situation is, it's all out there, but it's not here. So let's take a look at the chart, and I'm going to talk through this a little bit because I always felt like, well, maybe I'm teaching you something today, but I'm hoping that what I give you is something that helps you understand where you may or have been in the circle of the hero's journey. Because I think we go through this a lot, but we don't realize it. And if you understand where you are and where you have been and where you can go to, it makes the journey a little bit easier. Okay? So here's the chart, and you all have the chart, and I have this for those that are online. We start. What I call that is we started as an adventure. The adventure could be many things. Buying a car, buying a house, dealing with your children, having a baby, getting a new job, deciding what to do with where you're at with your job, retiring. What am I going to do when I retire? I mean, those are all journeys. Nothing is excluded from this. So understand, wherever you are, that's where it may be. Okay? And it's okay. It doesn't matter what it is. In fact, one of the things I'm going to talk about is the living room conversations. All of those are journeys. So today, before you leave, please check off what you want us to talk about, because we're going to go down those journeys every single month. All right? So we start with the adventure, and we might meet people along the way that say, yeah, well, I acknowledge that you're there. They call them a mentor. But then we have we cross a threshold where we really say, you know what? And when I was reading this and doing this, I was thinking about my life where I had to make a decision. That I was going to go into my journey. We can stay outside, we can play with it, we can goof off, we can say, oh, I'll do that next week. But at some point, we have to commit to the journey. Really important. We have to commit. That's our dedication to our growth. Now, when we go through that journey, we get lost. We forget who we are. We forget the truth of who we are. We have a lot of, we make mistakes. I know in my journey I made so many mistakes, but I did them on purpose because I knew I was in my journey. So I want you to know, when you're making mistakes in your journey, it's okay. It's part of the process. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't trust anybody. I know I had a therapist for 2 years, and I would walk in and say, here's what my thing is this week. And she would say, okay, well, let's talk about it. And we walked through it till I could trust what my mind was telling me. So mistrust is part of the failure, part of the understanding of getting to know who we are again. And then along the way, we learn to trust. As I just mentioned, therapists, mentors, practitioners. Practitioners here are one to help you understand and love yourself and to trust your thought process. That's what we're here for you to know there's a better way. And then we start to grow some skills. Now, this may seem really basic to you, but I need you to know that there is a process that we go through. And if we don't go through that, we don't grow. We stay. You know people that are seem to be always stuck. Anybody know those people? Shake your heads. We all know those people, right? And because they're stuck, they're not getting it. They're not moving down into, what did I learn from this? What have I gone through to make me realize that I could have something greater? So there's a death in what we call a death of the old and a rebirth of the new. Because at that stage, we start to have what I call insights. We start to learn. We start to go, you know what? That mistake did not work. You know what? I'm going to try something new. So the old starts to die, and we start to grow into the new. And there's a period for that. You'll notice that that's at the bottom, and it kind of looks like flames. Because it burns when you have to let go of those things that no longer serve you. So the old dies and there's a rebirth. And at that moment, what happens is we start to make decisions and revelations of, oh, that didn't work, so let me try this. And then we start to change. Now there's a little technique to changing. We can change for the moment, just like a prayer. We can have a prayer and change for the moment. A change means that's a real change. It's not just, oh, I think that's cool and I'll try it out. That's back in the trial and failure section. Do you understand that? There's a huge difference here. And again, I tell you this hero's journey because you got to get the whole thing. Because if you're doing this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you're still in trial and failure. You're not changed. Because when you're changed, you will viscerally feel it. You will say, I'm no longer going to go down that road. I'll tell you a quick little story in that one. I used to date somebody years and years ago, many years ago now. And I've told the story before. But basically, I would go down the road and I'd go back into the old relationship. Go down the road back in the old relationship. Go down, and I knew it wasn't good for me. I just knew it wasn't good for me. And so finally one day, standing in front of the mirror, I said to myself, we're going to go down a different road. We're just going to go down a different road so we don't have to go down the same road and have that same feeling again. That was the beginning of my change. That was the beginning. And eventually I just didn't even go down that road. I went left instead of right. That's the kind of decision we have to make when we're in that moving up towards the final changes. And then we move into giving thanks. That's what atonement is about. Giving thanks. Gee, Minnie, thank you for letting me figure this out. And it seems like forever we're through that, and you are. You've been through this for 3/4 of your time. You've been trying to figure out, how do I move? How do I move forward? And then we realize, because we really knew the truth when we started our journey, right? We knew that that was the wrong street to go down. But we have to go through the whole process until we come back to changing and then going, you know, that was really true back then as it is today. So we know the truth is the truth. And that solidifies who we are. Then we have a gift. And I talk about this all the time. Once we figure the gift out, it's our time to give it away. Why do you think we give it away? Anybody want to give me an answer?
So we can keep it.
What?
So we can keep it.
So you can keep it. What else? The lessons we learn are so powerful that when we give it away, we acknowledge that's the truth in our life. Like we can keep it. But it's so powerful that it makes us change forever. I've watched people go through so many things, and I watched them go through this process. I have one in mind. And I can remember them saying, but I don't know if this will work. I have no clues this will work. And I said, you know what? You are changed forever. And you will never let this happen again. So once you really understand the process of what you've gone through, you will always, always, always never forget. If you forget, you're back at the trial and failure. Do you see how that works? It's like a pendulum. But this is a full circle. So I gave this to you today because I think you can put this up on your wherever you're at, and a wall, or I like to put it in my medicine cabinet to remind me this is where I'm at. And look at this and say, where am I today? Where am I at? So that this will move you forward and it will help. Is it helpful to you? Can you see this? Has this ever been explained like this to you? Sorta, kinda? No? Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. There are a lot of benefits to the hero's journey. And I'm going to talk a lot about that because it's one thing to do the work, it's the next thing to give it away and know why you're giving it away. Know why you're giving it away. One of them is that we start to remember the truth of who we are and where we came from. We really understand that. We understand that this is the core of who I am. I'm a good person. I can make this happen. I can do this. That's important. You cannot move forward if you don't believe in you. So that's number one. Number two is we start to recognize, and I talked about this earlier, that we can just go out to our backyard and close our eyes and go home again. We don't have to go somewhere. We don't have to depend upon anybody. Although we may want to, and I think that's very valuable. And I know that I did for a couple years until I realized I'm okay. I'm really okay. We realize that we're not separated from anything. We're one with everything. So the time I've told you about going down to the beach and realizing that I didn't have to own property because I owned it all. Whatever I saw in front of me was mine. Whether I had a piece of paper and my signature on it did not matter. What mattered was I owned it all. It's like being in here today. Everything in here is mine. Everything in here is yours. We own it all. We created this. It's cool. We're no longer in fear. Everybody knows what fear stands for, right? For false evidence appearing real. So we're no longer feeling that. Now, we have a mechanism within us that kind of goes, hey, you need to pay attention. That's different than full out fear. I can remember when I was in full out fear of moving forward, because whatever I did was going to be wrong. Once I went through this process in my own life, I was like, I'm not afraid anymore. And then the other thing, which I talk a lot about, is we empower others. We empower them. Joe Goldsmith says this. He says, know thyself, the Greek said. Find within your own being the realization of God as your being, as your substance, as your life, mind and body. And then you will find that the whole world is free. As men awaken to that, they come into the same freedom from mortal, material, human limitations, from the sense of finiteness. And all this comes not through the intellect, not through the intellectually hearing this, but through and only through the spiritual discernment of it. This is what we just experienced there, is a spiritual experience, but coming from a place of knowing, of knowledge, opposed to being not knowing what's going on. It's a whole different way of approaching life and of understanding what's really happening. See, the thing is once we experience all this, we're changed. We're changed. We're changed forever. And every time we go through this, we are changed. And it may feel like, oh God, when am I ever going to get over this? Everybody have that one? You know what I mean? It's like, enough. But we're changed. We're different than the person that we started out to be. We're now new. We're also more courageous. Because once you've gone through that one example, and I think I have the scale up here again, I want to show it to you. Once you have gone through that once in a really huge way, something changes you so that you're not so afraid to try it again. And sometimes you got to go in and spin the wheel. I spun the wheel for a whole year. I hated it, but you know what? I learned so much. And it became so I'm not afraid of things. I knew that I was connected to something greater and that it was moving through me. And that I didn't have to work hard at this. I just had to kind of look at how that affected everything else around me. We don't feel limited. In other words, we transcend false limitations. How many people, I don't do this much anymore, and when it does come up, I'm kind of watching this, have an idea that they're limited. It's okay. I do that on occasion. We should all raise our hands. Okay, because we do. We do. We think that there's not enough, that I can't get there, I can't do that, I can't change, I can't that. Those are just limitations that we put on ourselves, but that's not necessarily true. It's not true. So we start to let go of those things. I love this one. It says we become the best possible version of ourselves. We become happier. We become happier. We try things. You know, I watch our singers and how they are just, I mean, we had a whole band up here. Did you notice that? They're trying things. They're becoming the more of who they are, opposed to limiting, well, let's have a guitar and let's sing here and let's do the piano. It's like they're exploring. That's fun. That's a nice way for us to get to watch them grow, right? So they become more of who they really are. And they become psychologically and spiritually mature adults. That's what we become. So what do I mean by that? I have some specific things. The first thing is that and see if you've done this, you have the courage and willingness to go into the dark caves of your fear. Do you know what I mean by that? It's interesting as I age, I have these little pop-up fears. It's weird. And so I'm now going, oh, well, isn't that interesting? And I go, that's not the truth. And I'm shifting my fear. They're little pop-ups, little weird pop-ups. I go, that's not true. But I'm not afraid to say that. Before I was always afraid to say that, thinking that I was helping that fear. The truth is, I say it's not true. So if you have that going on, and I've said this to many, 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 many people, go stand in the mirror, and you're not crazy, okay? You're not crazy. But stand in the mirror and say to yourself, that's not true. If you know that's what the truth is. Don't try and convince yourself of the non-truth, because you're going to go back to the beginning of the circle. And you can believe me or not believe me, but I can just tell you, I've been there so long, I don't ever want to go back there. So, the second thing about being psychologically and spiritually fit as an adult is that we're not victims anymore. We're no longer a victim to our situation. Now, I can say to you that I make lots of mistakes, and sometimes I whine about that, and I become a little victim. But the truth is, the overall picture of who I am, I take account for what I do or don't. So I'll give you an example. Happened today. I walk in today, and of course I walk in like, a fire. It's like, do this, do that, get that done, let's put that together, let's do that. But I didn't say, hi everybody, welcome, love you, care about you. I just said, do. Now, if I wasn't conscious, they would just go, oh, well, that's just the way she is. But as I went around hugging everybody, I said, thank you for being here. Thank you for just doing what I need you to do. I love you. It's a whole different way of being. It's a whole different way of consciously, I'm going to always be who I am, right? You're always going to be who you are. But if you recognize, and I know that I do that, I come back and I clean it up. Right?
Yep.
Okay. That's important. It's very important in this process. Clean it up. It's okay. We're going to make mistakes. My goodness. If we don't, you're not learning, you're not growing, and you're not becoming spiritually fit. Period. So become responsible for your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own actions. When I was going through all of this, one thing I noticed is that my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions were all going in different directions. Now, if I want providence to move, I have to bring all those things into same alignment. My thoughts, my feelings, and my actions have to be going straight forward. If not, then I'm telling the universe, guess what? I'm going all kinds of directions. So think about that. It's a small thing, but for me, when I went through this, I went, oh, that's what's going on. I feel this way, I think this way, and then this is what I'm doing. So I would, in my mind, going, I don't want to do that. And then I would say, well, I'm not, yeah, I'll come. And then I'd go there and I'd be miserable. You get it? Congruency is really important. The other thing that I think is so important, and I think that we don't think about this, and that is a spiritually mature adult will release those things that no longer serve them. And quickly. But we tend to hold on thinking that there's not enough. There's a limitation. There's something holding me back. I can't have that, so why should I do that? And the truth is, if we let go of it, it will fill itself up with something else. Okay, I did something crazy this week, which I normally don't do. So I'm just going to confess it, okay? I bought an e-bike. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I never spend that kind of money on myself, ever. You know, it's probably the biggest gift besides a car I've ever given myself. And as I was doing this whole process, there's a funny story afterwards too, but as I was doing this process, I'm talking with the owner of the company, and we start talking about releasing those things that no longer serve us. Part of me was my idea of I'm getting older, so my body is changing, I'm having to work it. And then we got into how we deal with who we are around. And I said, you know what? I'm only around people I absolutely love. And if they don't love me, that includes my customers, I don't want to be around them because I want to spend as many hours as I am awake or with those that I love. What a concept. What a concept of being around and feeling love and knowing that I get to love that way. I don't have to play any games, people. I don't have to sell anything to anybody. All I do is be me. How much more fun can you have? So the fun part of the story is, Cindy says, well, I'm going to ride my trail bike. I'm going to be just fine. Yeah, okay, let's go for a ride.
It doesn't work.
We went on 1 3-mile hike, a ride, and I'm kind of like, okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. And she's like, this is hard. This is hard. Down Walker Trail. You know what I'm talking about. And by the time we got back, she says, okay, Colin, we'll go back on Friday. So Friday she bought her e-bike. So now we'll go places together, which I'm really excited because part of, I think that's happened during COVID isn't, we lost our fun. We lost our fun. And so I said, I need more fun in my life. I'm tired of being so serious. So this will give us an opportunity. And now I know of a lot of other people that have e-bikes. I'm like, hey, you want to go e-bike? Hey, let's go. So the idea is it's opening up a whole new avenue for me. And again, I've never done this for myself. But that was my journey. And part of it is my age journey. Not that I'm that old, but I am watching myself and going, I need to find a way where I can still be active, try to stay young as I can, and healthy. This is a nice way for me to do it and plan it for my next 5-10 years. I plan on being here for 100, guys, so you better get used to it. I'll be up here and telling this story when I'm 100, right? But the thing is, you know, back to releasing that which doesn't serve us, is that we get to clear our minds and our hearts and our environments right away now. We don't have to think about this stuff. You know, I don't want to have a bicycle that I can't use. Now, I'll keep it for that youngster that says, hey, I want to ride a bike. I'm like, great. I got a bike I want to give away, and I can't even give it away. We release our attachment to what I call possessions, positions, views, or opinions. You know what? I love to be in the middle. In fact, I had a test one time. Some guy thought he would analyze me. He said, hey, take this test. He took the test, and I was right in the middle. And I thought, well, this is great, because I can look in both directions. I can look at both ways of how somebody thinks. I'm not afraid of going there. I can ask the questions, or I can say the things that nobody wants to say. I feel weird about it, but I still do it. I realize that my peace of mind is more valuable than being right. And this is really, really important. I can't tell you how many times I'm in a conversation that doesn't feel like it's quite going the direction I want it to go. And I'll just say, what's more important, to be right or to be at peace? To be at peace is more important to me now. It took a while for me to get there. But after 26 years of marriage, you have to get there. I guarantee you have to get there. And then the last thing is that I'm a part of something greater. Brene Brown says this. She says, the home we long for already exists. It's not outside of us. No one else can create it for us. Our true home exists within. It's up to each of us to find the key within ourselves. We may point out the way for others, but they will also must find it for themselves. Once we belong thoroughly into ourselves and believe through ourselves, true belonging is ours. The power is ours to return to the place we long for whenever we choose. That's not on there. So, and then I think I have this on here. I'm not sure. No, I don't have this on there. Abraham Maslow says this. He says, the culmination of the psycho-spiritual journey is the transcendence, which refers to the very highest and most inclusive or holistic level of human consciousness, behaving and relating as ends rather than a means to oneself. Relating is more important. Behaving and relating is is a means to oneself to significantly to. Boy, this is too much to say. In other words, an ends to a means. We know who we are, we know where we're going, and we know how to move forward. Really, really important. So there's so much more I could say, but I'm going to be running out of time here. Here's what I want you to take home with you. There's some practical applications to all of this. And if you're in the midst of it, let us be of support. Do not hang out there by yourself. If you know where you are in that circle and you're having trouble, you don't have to be alone. That's number one. Number two is wherever you are in that circle, and I know several people in that circle, is that you're going to get through it. You are. But there are a lot of discoveries that'll come along the way. There's some things you can do personally, like declutter your physical space. I know my office, it tends to go like this, and I'm now starting to go like that. It's like I can't focus when I got too much stuff in my way. So it's like get rid of that stuff that doesn't serve you. It doesn't need to be in your way. This is a hard one, but let go of people that don't serve you. We always think of, well, if I let go X, Y, Z, I'll never find another. The truth is you will. We need to find that which we can be compatible with, that which we can love, and we'll get love back in the same way. And not in a manipulative way, if you know what I mean. It's real easy to move into that direction, but that's not the point. Let go of blame and shame. Doesn't matter who's right, doesn't matter who's wrong. It just is. So let it go. Let it go. Even in the midst of the bad conversation, let it go. And the reason I say that is because you can always come back later when everybody's calm and you can walk through it together and figure out what's the best solution. That's part of maturity, is understanding that. Let's see what else. I've said this before, and you'll, on the back of your program, or that chart, if you'll turn that over, this is a Byron Katie Judge Your Neighborhood or Neighbor worksheet. If you've got an issue going on, you can just look at this and say, work through this little process. I want to give you the tools so that you can, you can experience and go through this and know that you are in good shape. And I'll bring it back here. I think the last thing I really want to say is treat yourself like you would treat your friend. Anybody beat themselves up? Come on, we all do. Treat yourself like you would your friend. If you're having a bad day, you're just having a bad day. Realize that. Just kind of let it go and say, okay, I'm going to start over. Sometimes we'll start over 10 times in one day. You having a bad day? Okay. Just start over. And I start over sometimes more than once. And when I really have a bad day, I go away from everything and I go either for a walk or I go read a book or I go pray or I go meditate. And then I just start over again. It's tough when you live with a lot of people because everybody's got their opinions. Anybody have that one? They do. And because of that, sometimes we have to start over because we may not agree with them. I know I don't. In fact, last night I was walking out the house, and of course, walking out to go out to the barn because I was told that the light was on because somebody had switched the switch the wrong way. And then as I'm walking out, I have another person talk to me about something else, and I'm like, stop! I can't handle it. I couldn't handle all the stimuli. And then they were like, why don't you care about me? And I'm like, oh my God, And so when I came back in, I was a little huffy puffy, and they were like, why are you so huffy puffy? And I go, well, here's, you don't understand what I just went through. And so I had to say, when I went through this is what happened, and then you are asking me to do something else, and I'm over here, And so finally we got to an understanding, but it's like, those things happen, they just do. And then today we'll start anew. Yesterday's over. It's done. Gone. Today is new. Is this all making sense? Mm-hmm. Is this helpful? Good. Okay. I'm not alone. All right. So I'm going to end with our affirmation. And what I want you to do is I want you just to close your eyes. And I'm going to repeat this over and over. And then I'm going to go into prayer, and then we'll have our music back so we can bring you guys back up here. So closing your eyes. I'm at home wherever I go. 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 And so I know right here, right now, that we have all become wiser. We are infinitely connected to the oneness of the divine that moves through us, to know that wherever we are at home. And so I claim today for all of us that today is a new day. It's a new beginning. We are wiser. We understand the journey that we have been in, are in, or will be in. And we move forward from a place of knowledge, of spiritual knowledge, that this is simply a process that us as humans go through. But the truth is, the absolute truth is, we're perfect, whole, and complete right here, right now, in every situation. And that we simply pay attention to the one divine essence that's moving through us and moving through our lives to become greater, to understand the situation in a different way, to move through those things and release the things that no longer serve us. So I bless each of us today, knowing that we are doing the work so that we can not only be better people, but then give it away to others that may need it. So I give great thanks for this day, for all that's been talked about, knowing it is divinely guided by the One. And so join me in saying, and so it is. Amen.